Respect, authenticity, and reconciliation. The town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawridge First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. Councilor Ferguson.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. We have our first delegation up. That would be from the Children's Resource Center. So if you want to take a seat and then you can introduce yourselves and your address as well. It's very, you can say your name and then give me your address. That would be great. Thank you. Ooh, thank you.
Hello, my name is Niall Cherkawi from High Prairie. I'm the Executive Director of the Children's Resource Council.
I'm Christine Beauvert from Slave Lake. I'm the many hats person here in Slave Lake at the Children's Resource Council.
You want to go ahead and you can start with your presentation, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go for a brief overview about the programs that we kind of do here. From my understanding, you guys are a little more interested in how some of the finances are divided between the areas. So we'll just jump to that afterwards, a little briefness on that, and then just allocate the time at the end for the questions you guys have for us. Okay.
Perfect.
So go ahead. Okay, yeah, so quick. Yeah. So the Family Resource Network, it stretches across the MD of Smoky River, Big Lakes County, MD of Lesser Slave River, Wabascan Opportunity 17. So the Family Resource Network was created after PLC, which was the Parent Link Center, which you guys had in Slave Lake. This program ended up changing in March of 2020. And the reasoning it changed was because the NDP developed a program that they wanted to target more families going from 0 to 17 and not just the 0 to 6, and focus on parenting and resiliency, and also work with children's services to offset any consider prevention intervention, so that we would take care of the preventative aspects regarding it. Next. So it's a hub and spoke model for those of you that understand it. So the hub next is currently in High Prairie, and then we have 2 spokes: parent education and home visitation. Our parent education is 0 to 17. We target on parenting, different programs for that. We also do teen programs, youth programs to go along with that as well, and bringing the parents and teaching resiliency in our home visitation. Our home visitation goes from 0 to 6, where we go into the homes, create case files, help the parents resiliency with child development as well, and showing that bonding between family and child for later on in life. Slave Lake also has what we call the CPNP program, which is under the Public Health Agency of Canada. So the FRN is under the province of Alberta funding, and the Public Health Agency of Canada funds 2 programs in the CRC, one of which is the CPNP, which is here in Slave Lake. That one is for prenatal and postnatal care. So we do everything from baby programs to prenatal to delivery.
Assistance in the home with breastfeeding and any postnatal problems that parents have. We also do baby weigh-ins and a lot of support in that area.
Okay, so we'll just as a brief overview of the CRC. Again, when you have questions later on, we'll jump into the funding next. So the breakdown of the funding goes into the hub. So it receives 82,500 per year. The home visitation spoke receives 220,000 per year. Parent education, the same amount, 82,500. And then the CPNP project is 79,130, which we have a part-time coordinator here in Slave Lake. And out of that budget, the rest goes to the coordinator in High Prairie, and then the materials are split up between the 2 programs. Next. So the hub breakdown. As you can see, service delivery staffing costs, basically myself, is where it goes into as the executive director for the area. Then the program costs go anywhere from travel to any materials we need for the center, things like that. Facility costs go directly towards the High Prairie Center, which is going to utilities and things like that. Administrative costing is towards our CFO. Is a portion that goes into it, and then the admin costs, same thing. Next. So you can see with the staffing and home visitation, we have in Slave Lake a full-time, which is split into 2.5s. High Prairie has a full-time and a 0.5. Service delivery goes into materials for the most part. Program costs would go into training, travel, things like that. Facility costs, that all goes into Slave Lake for the office that we just acquired here. So as some of you guys know, we were directly here in the town office until March of this year, where we ended up acquiring a space in the Legacy building. And I think since we've moved there, we discovered that our participations increased about 35% in that time. So that's good for the area as well. And then same thing, administrative staffing goes towards our CFO and to our admin in High Prairie, which of course is the work for both areas. Next. So parent education, as you can see from the original budget, which was 82,500, there was some money that allocated to rural areas, which was $49,333, which went into this program. And then again, you can see the division of the costs here. And under the other admin costs, so some of that is divided into our audit as well. Now Christine's going to say a couple of things about the programs, which she does here, and then we'll go into some questions.
So in your files, I gave you a brochure of all the programs that we run. I gave you contact information for the staff in case you ever want to come to the Legacy Centers to see our operation. And I gave you also on the right-hand side is a copy of our programs that we're running in for the winter. We do have a bunch of programs that aren't run weekly or monthly. They are run as they're needed. And so people can sign up for those. And when there's a full class, we end up running those programs. Now, I also did a rundown on our numbers for the last 2 years because I believe COVID did not exist. So I don't have the numbers for while we were running during COVID. In 2022 to 23, in Stronger Together, which is our home visitation, we had 4 clients. 2 of those clients were exited. One of those exited clients completed the program. She's doing very well now. We still have contact with her every once in a while. 2 of those clients rolled over into today's home visitation. We have 6 families that are receiving home visitation at this time, and we have 1 that is on the referral list. We're trying to set up home visitation so we can get the paperwork done and start working with them weekly. Brighter Futures next steps is we have myself, which is half-time, and we also have another person, which is 25.25. So 0.75 is what we have here. In 2022 to 23, most of these numbers were from, well, they were basically all from when I was doing the programs by myself. We served 61 families and 100 children. In 2023, now this is only for 3/4 of the year because our year is up in March. We've served 83 families and 122 children. The Good Start program in 22-23, they served 16 ladies, which had 16 healthy babies. And in today's date, we've served 29 families. Of those families, 25 have had babies, and we've still got 4 that are due in January.
And we should add as well that Andrew is actually one of our spokes as well through the resiliency program under WJS. So that's kind of an overview of the programs and what we do at the CRC, a little bit of an overview of the budgets. I know there has been some concern and it's been coming to me for the multiple counselors that you've had over on our board regarding how some of the things are done and how some of the funds are allocated. So if you guys have any questions, then please feel free to ask.
Councilor Hughes.
Oh, there we go. So since you moved or opened your office here, you've seen, sorry, you kind of mumbled something. Have you seen more people come to your
Yeah, I
office
think
here
we
in
said
Slave Lake?
it's close to 30% right now of an increase.
30% increase?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good to know. That's awesome. And so these programs, I just want to make sure I have this right. The winter programs that you have here, you will run them weekly as long as they're full? Is that?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
The programs from Monday to Saturday, those are weekly programs.
Okay, yeah,
And the programs on the bottom, for example, the prenatal classes,
right.
we run that whenever there's enough people with babies under one that want to do it.
Okay, so the
minimum
weekly
is 3.
ones, the weekly ones do run all the
They
time, no
run
matter the
all the time.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and what's the attendance for those ones typically? I know that might be hard, but,
Well, today at Play and Learn, we'd had 11 families
okay,
with, I think there were 15 children.
okay.
And in that space, it's very loud. And so it's a very busy time. So we've had up to 15 families on a Tuesday Play and Learn, which is serving, like our children are usually between 0 and 5. Our Baby and Me program, she's had anywhere from 2 to 6 people attending. And also to start in January, this program I made sure it went weekly because it's important that those moms get together every week for their mental health.
Mhm.
So since then, we've seen a growth in the numbers in that program.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
great.
So we've got about 6 people that attend regularly in that program.
Okay.
Our teen group, there's 2 students that attend weekly. I still have to get out to the high school and to St. Mary's and promote those programs. We are doing Rad Kids, and Rad Kids is for 6 to 9 years old, and All Stars is for 10 to 12. And we're hitting the main floor on Wednesday, Thursday during their Christmas concerts to inform parents about all the services that we do. So basically, they're going to get a half sheet, what I've given you of, hey, we've got these programs going.
Okay, that was actually my next question. I was gonna say, how do you guys kind of advertise these programs just in the Slave Lake community, I guess would be my other. So
Whenever
obviously-
we've got a poster coming out, I make sure Darcy gets it and she puts it on the town webpage for us.
Okay,
We also have the Facebook page that we use for the district Facebook page, and we always write attention Slave Lake.
okay,
A lot of our clients are now coming word of mouth, and every staff member in Slave Lake carries around a pack of cards with them. And when they see babies or families with children, they're always busy handing out cards. So we do get drop-in people once in a while,
that's
and
great.
they're coming and checking things out.
Okay.
Word of mouth is usually the best way to go.
Yeah,
People
it
see posts
always
a day or
tends to
2
be,
later.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
great to know. Just a general comment. I didn't realize the breadth of programming that you guys do provide. So this was a great kind of highlight reel for me. Just get me a little bit more familiar, and I definitely will be spreading the word about this newfound knowledge and all the programs you do offer, because I wasn't aware of that previously either. So,
Yeah, the most popular program we have is the babysitting and the stay safe, which I do. I've done the babysitting in town. We always do babysitting and stay safe in many of our outlying First Nations areas. And so that's been one of the most popular that we've been promoting in the last 1.5 years.
yeah, and they fill up quickly. Hey, those classes?
They do.
Yeah, that's great. I have heard that for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank
So-
you.
Councilor Choba.
Thank you for the presentation, first of all. 2 questions. One, are you fully staffed now? Because I know that there's always challenges with staffing. So are you currently fully
Yeah,
staffed?
Slave Lake, yeah.
The second question is there a plan in the future to propose more hours? And I'm just asking because when I'm looking at the times, a lot of them go until 5 p.m. And sometimes some parents who work and all that might not be able to get to this and they might want this. So is there something like that?
We do already have it established that if the staff wants to do something later in the evening or a weekend, then they can flex their time. It was one of the first policies I changed in the CRC, is that they can flex their time without having permission. And if they decide that it's gonna be feasible for them, again, as you know, like some of the programs take a little bit of time, 3 months just to kind of weed out if it's gonna work or not. And so we just test out different programs and we're always gonna put the effort into it and see where we can go from there. And if we see that that's something viable, one that we were just talking about, which will be later in the evening, is like a daddy-daughter date night. Just to kind of teach, them how to communicate, sit there. If you have any questions, that you can be open with your fathers, and for the fathers to teach their daughters how they should be treated and things like that, right? So that one will be a little bit later in the evening, and then the staff is fully, again, just as you can see with some of the budgets and the staffing costs and what we get, it's a little bit hard to let them work that because we can't afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is contingent on programs. This was a question that was asked of me earlier about the budgets and how things are allocated. It's not per area, it's per program.
Right.
And with the home visitation, again, we cover 4 different areas, right? So we just split that up with our workers, and we do have in Slave Lake. And again, it's rare that an FRN like ourselves has 2 separate offices like this, because there are other areas like Peace River that covers a similar area to what we have, and they just work out of their one office, right? So it's a benefit to the town of Slave Lake that we were able to establish this office, and we have great staff members like Christine, who is actually, I think it was 2 months into my tenure that I promoted her to program supervisor.
Thank you.
I also, just to note, the parenting program is always on an evening and it's always from 8 till 10 p.m. So I flex my time for that, or I hold my hours and I take a day off in lieu of that. We are also looking at possibly doing a parent support group, which will also be in the evenings. Some of these things will be online because we can reach more people. Right now, I believe I'm the only one trained in triple P. So when I do a triple P class, it's really great to get it out as far as we can. And more people that attend, then everyone feels, oh, I'm not the only one with this problem. So
just to confirm, you said the parenting program. So you're talking about the triple
the
P?
triple P.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which is under the parent education spoke.
So question for Nal here. So thank you for the presentation, the both of you. So it's quite clear that you do a lot with a limited budget. So my understanding is that you've also been applying for additional grants and donations to expand programming. Can you touch on this a little bit on what you've been applying for and how that stretches things?
So as you can see with the grants, like there's with the FRN, especially being for a provincial grant, their CPA is pretty strict on what we can allocate money to. So we can't allocate money directly to our center for anything that would be for repairs or things like that, right? So we look for different operating costs. We did apply in September of last year for the CIP grant, Community Initiatives Grant. We were successful in achieving that. So that goes into a new website that we're creating right now, where there's going to be a separate thing for Slave Lake office as well, that people can go to and see the programs and different things that are going there. So that'll be exclusive for Slave Lake as well. For a new database as well, and then for just the utilities and stuff for High Prairie, because we can't take from any of these programs. What do? We wrote a letter, joint letter, and then kind of took over the letter for a donation for Toco here in Slave Lake, which we were successful in getting. And so that money is directly allocated towards Slave Lake. So anything we do get for donations towards the Slave Lake office stays in Slave Lake and goes to the programs. FCSS, we were successful 2 years now for receiving that grant, which goes directly to the team program. And again, that money just stays, like it'll come to the home office, obviously, because our CFO is there, but the money is always allocated directly towards Slave Lake for that as well. And then we're just trying to expand as much as possible and make the programs grow. So any grants I find out there, then we'll go and grab. We started the swimming in Slave Lake. And we also have a Let's Get Cooking class that we're going to start in Slave Lake as well. And these are all from external grants that we got.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation. We really appreciate you guys coming out, and I I like the depth of programs provided. I would suggest same thing. Challenge that we all have with every organization we're a part of is the marketing. I happen to, my kid just did the Stay Safe program. I just happened to see Christine's post on her page. So I do think there is going into the schools to let parents know is a good idea. And I would love to see an expansion of our services, of what services are offered in Slave Lake, being more public so that we know about it.
Yeah, we even
Wait.
have it, the issue in High Prairie, it's like,
It's the-
our organizations existed for 26 years, and there's still people that don't know that we
You gotta tell
exist.
people 7 times before it
Yeah.
sticks. So I appreciate that challenge more than you know. I appreciate that challenge about all events, and that's what I would continue.
Yeah.
Just providing some encouragement to continue to do that in the schools because those programs are important.
Our posters, every time we have a new program coming, we have an email list and that does go to all the schools, which makes sure that the counselors get it and they've been really good at working with us. We've received a few referrals from the school counselors, which has been awesome. Whenever I have a book now that I keep contacts that have inquired about Stay Safe or babysitting. So the first time I put out a poster is not the first time
No.
I've made contacts, because I always keep my contacts list going. And so when I put out a poster, it's just to make sure that I fill my class, because I don't like running half full classes. Just so you know, I did run the last Stay Safe at the CRC and realized that the maximum kids I can have there is 12. And I appreciate the town's support with providing us the MRC multipurpose room, because I can fit a whole 16 up there. And when we do babysitting, I like 16, and then we have space to do our demos. So we really appreciate you providing that for us.
No, we definitely appreciate. So thank you for the presentation. We look forward to seeing the stuff that's coming.
Thank you.
Slave Lake and District Chamber of Commerce. Please come forward. You can say your name and address, please.
Hi,
My name is Jen Simpson and I'm Slave Lake. Brenna and I guess Ames with Slave Lake. Our formal address is a PO box number 190. I'll start out before Jen gets started. So as most of you know, we are both fairly new to these positions. So we understand that the town has accommodated the chamber consistently over years with some funds. And so Jen's just going to talk a little bit about, I guess, where we are with this new group and where we're headed.
So thank you for having us and allowing us to speak on behalf of the Slave Lake and District Chamber of Commerce. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jen and I have just taken this position over in the last few months, working as the executive director. During this time, I have been working on Moonlight Madness, the Merry Little Christmas Shop, Postcard to Home, as well as a shop local quarterly meeting. The Slave Lake and District Chamber of Commerce has gone through some changes, such as our president. We are currently obtaining some new board members. So lots of fresh, modern ideas coming forward. In 2023, we were looking at focusing on being consistent and bringing the business community together and helping our current members understand the benefits of being a chamber member. We are promoting civic, commercial, and industrial progress within Slave Lake. Our Slave Lake District and Chamber of Commerce provides access to valuable resources, discounts, relationships that help businesses save money and market their products. In 2024, we are hoping to see more events as well as sticking to some of the familiar favorites. We currently have the following events in place for 2024, the trade show, Riverboat Days, the Business Excellence Gala has been pushed into 2024 for February, just being that November was an extremely busy month for us. We are going to focus heavily on Business Week this year, focusing a lot on our bigger businesses and our bigger chamber members. We are hoping to bring back a golf tournament. We would like to do some sort of oil dinner to thank all of our oil companies that are faithful members. And we will do the Merry Little Christmas Shop, Moonlight Madness, Black Friday, and hopefully some sort of postcard next year as well. Our postcard has been quite a hit, being this year that if all of them get handed back in, we would have put $1.2 million back into local shopping. Additional funds would allow us to enhance our events and build our reputation, incorporating new events, doubling participation and community gatherings, enhancing our town spirit, and encouraging business partnerships and giving back to our community and our members. Events is just one part of what the chamber is doing. But as we said at the beginning, we are very new and we are navigating that daily. So we would like to focus, in 2024, a lot on our bigger guys and what are we doing for them. So it's not just small business, it's not just retail. We would like to diversify in that way. We would like to focus heavily on social media, membership meetings, being out in the community, and supporting others where we can. We have decided going forward that we will be focusing all of our efforts towards our current members and doing partnerships with tourism and community futures where we see fit that fits kind of our path moving forward. So everything going forward is done by me and volunteers from the board. And we would love to have some participation from the town to continue some of these incredible events and add to that. We will be working hard on upping our memberships. We've recently caught up on all of the membership dues that have been kind of lacking. I think during COVID, a lot of people just kind of stepped aside from the chamber, obviously just surviving, right? And so we are now circling back on all of those people, explaining the benefit to being a chamber member, catching up on all those membership dues. We did 90% of the Moonlight Madness, Merry Little Christmas Shop, and Postcard to Home was all done by donation. So, the more people we can kind of rope into partnering with us. I don't know if you saw, but a lot of our social media during that time was Slave Lake and District Chamber of Commerce, as well as so-and-so and so-and-so. And that was how that whole event was able to be put on by just our board of directors and me. So any help that we would receive from you would go towards more events and supporting our members. Okay, thank you very much.
More for questions?
Yes, please.
Councilor Gremlin.
Hello, ladies.
Hello there.
You guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
I'm sick.
You
Guess what? I sound like this. Your money will go towards events. Do you have a specific amount in mind of what you guys are looking for?
I think that Jen's very good at accessing, like she's through the last couple of events coordinated, like she said, we hardly spent a dime on the last couple of events with sponsors and stuff, but we just need to keep up with paying her wage. So if we oh geez, I didn't look at the numbers, but I think our last executive director prior to her was averaging $4,000 to $5,000 per month. So if we kind of went off that, so it's not really for a specific event, it's just her wage to make all of these things happen. So it's not like we're saying a concert or whatever,
okay.
it's just.
I would say that the money will go to events, but specific one to say like, maybe it takes $1,000 in advertising for the golf tournament and it's $1,500 for the oil dinner and to say specific, I'm so sorry, I don't.
No, not specific events in general, but a specific amount of money, like.
Well, in the past, it has been $10,000. We would be more than grateful to receive that again. We feel that we can go into the community based on what we've put on so far, that obviously we know you are all there, by partnering with other people and, hopefully like that Merry Little Christmas shop and the Postcard to Christmas was sponsored by McDonald's this year and cost the chamber nothing essentially, but a lot of legwork to get all of that done. Right. So I do think that the money will go to an event. I just can't say specifically what event or a little bit for all events, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Ferguson.
So we are still in budget discussions.
Yes.
So that being said, do you have any financials or anything that you could provide us just so that we can kind of justify anything that we may or may not do?
Absolutely, we can provide that.
Thank you.
Councilor Hughes.
You mentioned Riverboat Days obviously as being one of your events for 2024.
Yes.
Will you be doing the Midway?
We are
as
doing the
well?
Midway. Yes, we
Okay.
just received the contract from them on that and we will be, that will
Okay.
be that's number one for income for the chamber.
I was just gonna say, so is that still your number
It
one
is number
income
one.
stream that the chamber's really
Yes.
relying on,
Yes,
right?
100%.
Okay,
It
yeah, I
is
just
not-
want to make sure you're
It
still.
is, yeah, no,
Yes.
we're doing that and nothing like, we don't want to change anything that has been done. It has been a success. But we would like to build upon that and do more if possible. And
Oh, yeah.
that, this position, I think, is a part-time position. If we want to move it into something else, it needs to be more than that. And so,
Yeah.
and if we can get more board members, we have asked a few people to become on our board. We have had some yeses, which has been fantastic, some really great new ideas. So we're not going to be doing any changes to what is current. We would just like to build upon it. We know how well the chamber did prior to us getting here, and we would just like to do more what we can, but that is our biggest income source. The other thing is
For
that
sure.
the chamber received that SEBA money and that is now due back. And on the bank account, if we had not had that money, there would be no money.
Yeah,
So it is important that we now need to be moving in a direction where we are making money. So events going forward need to be income earners for us. Like we can no longer spend money in a way that outside of my wage, we need to be partnering
Right.
with everybody on everything.
yeah,
going
for
forward.
sure. Yeah, I would probably argue that no one else in this room understands that more than me.
I know you do.
Yeah, I totally get that. Just a couple other comments. I really love the build out this year to Moonlight Madness, the Merry Little Christmas Shop. I think you guys have done amazing work in such a short span of time. So congrats to you both on that.
Thank you.
I love your comment about diversifying a little bit more and maybe the oil field dinner and going after the larger businesses. I think that's all really great ideas. And I hope that's successful for you guys too, and that you kind of get that that buy-in from them as
Yes.
well. I know that can be one of the larger challenges when you are involved in the chamber. So
I think the
just-
number one question that we get is, what do I get?
Value.
What's the value of the
Yes,
chamber, right? And so
for sure.
essentially, like, I'm trying to prove that, for say a business that is like a South Shore Hidden Treasures or Distractions or Creative Goods, their membership fee is say $225 a year, that they get me for $225 a year. And I'm going to do everything I can within my power to promote their business. If I see that they're doing something, I will be sharing it. I'll be putting it on every page. I will be out introducing myself to other business owners and saying, hey, I see that you have this. I heard that so-and-so has this, connecting businesses together that maybe weren't in partnership prior.
Yeah.
So that's my overall goal, is to just bring such a value that you don't want to not be a chamber member.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. And I would say it's definitely worked on me so far this year. So
Thank
keep
you.
it up and just congrats to you guys for bringing new people on board and the fresh perspective, and just keep going. It's not an easy task, and it's often really unappreciated in the community as well. And it's usually the same people going out and getting it done. And so just props to everybody involved, because it takes an enormous amount of work. So
Thank you.
Chime in, obviously well versed in your guys' operations, and I think you're doing a fantastic job moving things forward. I really like the increase in board members. I think that's super important. It's hard to draw from a well that has no one in it. And I think focusing on that and focusing on a lot of the internal things, the cleaning up of getting all the memberships out, that's so important. And no one really gives you a pat on the back for that internal work that ends up being done on the board. And that's just as hard as running a successful event, as the stuff behind the scenes that's going to allow you guys longevity. So I think that's fantastic. I really enjoyed your the focus on value and the point of connection. I always thought that when the value for businesses in the chamber, regardless of the events and everything else, was that the chamber should serve as a point of connection between businesses and the community, so that the chamber is that facilitator of that connection. It brings businesses and the community together. And a lot of times that's events. And that's how I always viewed the value of the chambers, that point of connection. So I really like the idea of going out there and getting people excited about it again. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I look forward to the next year of events and moving forward. I know we've had in the past events that haven't worked out, but I think there's some really good momentum for some of these coming forward. And I like the new ideas with the oil field dinner and things like that, maybe focusing on some of our bigger businesses that in the chamber of forest producers, stuff like that. I think there's some definite opportunities there and some new ideas. And so I'm excited to see where you guys take it. As Bryce mentioned, we are in budget right now. So if you wanted to forward a copy of any financials or budget that's appropriate to our CAO,
Okay.
and then we can we can take a look at that and go from there.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Gramlich,
Make a motion to accept both delegations' reports as information.
any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor? And that is carried.
Sorry, can I just get a motion for the CRC delegation as well?
I said both.
Oh, for both? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that work?
Yep, nope, that works. Sorry, I just couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
No, we got it after the fact on that one. Okay, we have Tasha, Youth Advisory Council, terms of reference.
Okay. Good evening. So council directed administration to provide a terms of reference for consideration of a youth advisory council about a month ago. So we have drafted this for your approval or discussion. I do want to know, does council want me to review the whole thing? Have you already read it? What are you wanting?
I've already read it, but,
I read it as well. I don't know.
okay, yeah, you can touch on the highlights since we have read
Let's
it.
talk about the highlights. Okay, so the mandate, which I think is important, and the role of the Youth Advisory Committee. The mandate is to advise and make recommendations to council on all matters with respect to youth, recreational and social issues within the town of Slave Lake. This will provide a communication link between the youth of Slave Lake and the Slave Lake Town Council. The needs of the youth shall be addressed with recommended action to council to enrich the quality of life and well-being for the youth in the community. The role of the Youth Advisory Committee is one, to advise council in regards to issues which will have an impact on Slave Lake youth, to keep town council informed of important matters facing Slave Lake youth, to act as a positive advocate for youth and youth initiatives, to promote positive, meaningful activities for youth in partnership with community agencies, and to actively seek input from youth on matters delegated to the community, to the committee by council, to provide leadership experience for youth, and to set out clear goals for the committee for the term. The organization of the committee will be comprised of people within Slave Lake who demonstrate a strong commitment to these terms. There'll be hopefully a strong cross-section of individuals recruited to bring the committee relevant technical and professional expertise, as well as strong advocacy, communication, and organizational skills. Members can be anywhere from 12 to 18. Well, let's just go through the whole thing because I don't know what to leave out and what not to.
That's okay.
Vacancies for citizen appointments will be advertised as per the town's procedures. Committee members will be appointed by council. The committee shall have a minimum of 5 members, 1 council rep, 1 school division rep. So that can be either from High Prairie School Division or Living Waters or Koinonia. A minimum of 4 and a maximum of 7 youth committee members, with a maximum of 9 members in total. The term of a committee member is 2 years. Additional members may be appointed throughout the term. 1 member will be appointed by vote of the committee at each first meeting of each term to chair the meetings for that term. At this time, they'll select a vice chair for the same duration. These appointees must not be school or council representatives. Administrative staff shall act in an advisory manner to the committee, and the role of the staff liaison shall be fulfilled by a town of Slave Lake employee. Meetings will be held a minimum of 4 times a year to a maximum of once a month. The date and time of the regular meetings will be established at the first meeting. Meetings will have a formal agenda. Agenda and info packages, including previous meeting minutes, will be sent electronically to committee members prior to the meeting. A majority of council appointed committee members will constitute quorum for the transaction of the business. And then we get into the roles of each individual position. So there's the roles of the chair, which is to run the meeting. The secretary is the person who keeps the records. The roles of the rest of the members will be required to attend the meetings, to adhere to the provisions of set out in policy, review the information, offer input. And then the role of the town of Slave Lake administration is to act as an information resource, assist in the committee in its reporting to council, provide correspondence, and keep up-to-date records. And the reports to council The committee may advise and make recommendations to council in accordance with its roles. And the reports may be submitted by verbally or a written report. And an annual report will be submitted and presented to council at the beginning of each year, outlining the committee's accomplishments in the previous year.
Sorry, just easier to ask a question right now. So up top, though, it says that a council will be a representative on this as well, meaning one of us.
Yep.
So we'll be representative plus a town staff.
This town staff is there as the recording secretary.
Oh, as the secretary role. Okay,
Like,
thank you.
as the
Yeah, that
liaison,
makes
to help-
more sense.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
You're
too
not-
many parties involved.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, the counselor, there's one counselor, just like we're on a variety.
it's like a
of
different,
boards.
it's just another committee that you would already have.
Yeah,
under
so
your
we'll be
portfolio.
treating it the same
Yep.
as our regular.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
that's how that builds the connection with the one. That's why they, yeah, I believe further in the document, or you might have already passed it, that we
Yeah.
can't, essentially the council reps can't be chair or.
That's right. Yeah, I did say that. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to clarify.
I'm done.
Right. Council Ferguson.
I guess, so when the council originally on task administration developed this, I guess this is a little more depth than in depth than I
Okay.
originally considered.
I like it.
And I'm worried about staff resources and staff time. Do you see
Yeah.
that possibly being an issue? Because I know, staff are already taxed in many manners right now.
Yeah, so when writing this document and coming up with a structure for this, I was fairly cognizant of that fact. I don't think it's onerous on any one individual person. It's essentially 4 meetings a year, maybe a little bit more. And then making sure that those minutes are sent to council.
I'll weigh in. I really like the idea of a youth advisory council. I think some of the things we were tasked with when we all ran a couple years ago was to involve the youth more in, I guess citizenship would be where I would be going with this, and a focus on involving youth in community matters. I think a lot of people that when you get to paying attention on politics and stuff like that doesn't happen until you're much older. So, and especially with our voter turnouts, I think if we can get youth involved earlier in town matters, in town operations, looking at how their community is run and understanding that, I think that's a way to build, I guess, less apathy, I should say, when it comes to those items. So I love the idea of a youth advisory council. I think the terms of reference presented are pretty straightforward. And then these been presented to any of the school divisions yet, or is this just preliminary?
An email did get sent out to the school divisions just indicating that this might be coming
Okay,
their way, that it hasn't been passed, but it has been asked to administration to develop this.
okay, was there any feedback from that? Not yet. Okay,
No.
Counselor Hughes.
Yeah, I would just echo that same sentiment. And I think that was Councillor Moellim's goal overall when he kind of, asked about this. I am curious, and I think it might have been asked at that meeting, are there municipalities in our area that have this same setup that you're aware of, or?
I didn't check in our immediate area. I did do a search to
Okay.
get an idea. I didn't invent the wheel here. This
Right.
is taken from several
That's
different
fair.
youth advisory councils amalgamated into what makes sense for our community.
Right.
But I didn't do a specific search within our rural Alberta to see whether or not this was a common thing.
Okay.
We're late getting on the board of it when it comes to cities and other things that are a little bit more progressive with involving.
They
our
already
youth in
have
politics.
something
Yes,
like
but
this. Yeah.
This
Okay.
wasn't invented out of nowhere, and I think it's important to get our town on board with
Yeah.
this, right?
So I'm sorry, you might have touched on this, but when would you see this up and running and fully operational?
Well, if council was to approve the terms of reference with no changes and not having to bring it back, I would think that we could probably have this, we could start recruitment in January, I would say middle of January, end of January, and move forward from there.
Okay.
I'm gonna be conservative and say the end of January with the Christmas break.
So would we be concerned then that we're running too far kind of towards the end of the school year and we're not going to get a lot of, for lack of better words, bang for our buck? Or is the idea that that the youth that, because a lot of it's going to be, I imagine this is going to be largely pushed out through the school divisions. And just getting people on board and not, sorry, ending at the end of the school year, for lack of better words, like people aging. out, kind
In
of.
terms of how, it's a 2-year term anyway.
Yes.
So is your concern that we're not going to see commitment because there's
Well,
only 5-ish months left? of the
I
school
would
year?
say it'd probably be better to roll it out with a school year, if that makes
Like
sense.
to start it in September?
Yeah, because I imagine more of it would
Certainly.
probably be pushed out through the school divisions.
Yeah, this is a council initiative, so whatever council wants to see happen, I fully support and we'll make sure it administratively it rolls out. If you feel that working within the school year makes sense, we could absolutely do that. The only thing I would caution is that typically for schools, I find September is a very busy time for their administrative staff. So their ability to commit during the September timeframe might be very difficult. Perhaps middle of October might make sense if you're wanting to link up to the school year. Just my feedback on that.
I can see that. Yeah, sorry.
So just a bit of an update. So the tentative plan right now is actually for this task to be managed potentially by our municipal intern that will be starting in the summer.
Oh.
So this would be one of a number of initiatives that would fall on potentially that intern's responsibility. And so naturally that will likely start midsummer and it might even take a month for that intern to be, potentially become up to speed on what this program would look like and kind of handle that sort of process, right? So, in all honesty, it may not actually effectively start till September or that sort of period of time. It is focused on youth, but it doesn't necessarily need to be focused on the schedule of the school year necessarily.
I think since there's quarterly meetings, you're gonna miss
That's
the
right.
summer, whatever. Anyways, I'm happy to leave it up to administration to see how they facilitate this. It is definitely a council ask, but if you struggle getting board members, then we need to know.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
where we're,
Yeah.
but I'm happy. I personally am good to let administration sort the rollout out on this.
I guess one question for clarity and what administration might be looking for some input on is the range of youth, age of youth. So some youth committees, as you see this, we've kind of drafted it initially of youth that would be attending
12 to 18. Yeah.
up to 18,
Yeah.
right? Some may expand those parameters to say youth might be 22 maybe, or something along those lines, right? So I guess that's what I'm interested in, is where you feel the focus of this consult, where you feel the input that you're looking for from this committee and what age range you're targeting to hear that from. Is that the right range, 12 to 18? Or should it be 14 to 22? Or what as council are you looking to get out of this committee, or what kind of input are you looking at? Because that will dictate the composition of that group.
I think I spoke to it last time. In my opinion, I liked the 12 to 18 range because once you're 18, you can legally vote. So in my vision, the Youth Advisory Council was to assist promoting the voice of youth that are unable to exercise a vote in any type of election. So it was a way for them to be heard and bring forth initiatives that they can't necessarily step forward and vote on as a legal adult in our province, that they weren't. There's other ways I feel like that 18 plus are able to participate. You can participate in municipal politics. You can participate in provincial politics at any point in time. So my thought after Ali had brought that up was that the 12 to 18 or 12 to 17 was appropriate. But I'm happy to hear from the rest of council and their vision on that.
I mean, I think I would agree as well. My one comment was maybe pushing it to 19 or 20, just if you have an 18-year-old, like it would be a shame to have somebody almost age out of the program before they've gotten value or had their input into it as well. I would hate for them to, especially if it's a 2-year, term per se, right? If they're 17 and they're getting involved, then it's like, do they have to just leave after the 1 year? So I don't know, maybe a little bit of flexibility there in terms of age. At the end of the day, though, I just want it to be successful and I want people to actually utilize the program, hence the point. So I'm a little less concerned with the age and just wanting to get that around, roundabout age group involved, I guess would be where I'm at. But I do see your point about the 18 thing there, but I'd hate to, discount somebody who's maybe 18, 19 from being, involved in this as well.
Counselor Groundbreaker.
I will make a motion to accept the Youth Advisory Council terms of reference as presented.
Okay, any further discussion? Call to question those in favor, and that is carried.
Thank you.
No changes on your end. Thank you. That's great. Roland, you tax sale.
Thanks. The most exciting topic of the night.
Ooh. You mean the revised policies are?
Media is even walking around. They're so excited for it.
All right, so what I have before you here in your package, I have the property tax recovery process. So what I've done here is just kind of put together a small guide. I've taken a bigger guide here and kind of condensed it down to kind of get the highlights of the process. Starting off here, so before we start, the basic tax recovery procedure is laid out in the MGA for all municipalities. The property tax year for a municipality runs from January 1st to December 31st of each year, regardless of when tax notices are sent out, except for supplemental taxes. Some concepts to kind of take under your wing before we start here. Taxes are considered unpaid in the year that they are imposed. Taxes that remain unpaid after December 31st of the year in which they are imposed are considered to be in arrears. So just kind of two little things to keep track of as we go through here. And for us, we're always looking for ways to improve our service and help residents understand and avoid a property tax sale. The property tax sale is considered the last point of resort to collecting taxes. Understanding the tax recovery process. So it's no surprise, or shouldn't be no surprise to most people, that municipalities wholly rely on the collection of property taxes to provide services, to make improvements to their infrastructure and to meet their financial obligations. The provincial government recognizes municipalities' reliance on property tax revenue. And as such, they have laid out a number of rules in the MGA on how this process and how taxes are handled. So this whole process is really MGA regulated and not municipal driven. That means we are here as administration carrying out the rules and guides that are set out in the MGA to collect taxes. Moving on. So when are taxes in arrears? The issues of when parcels of land with outstanding taxes are to be placed on a tax recovery arrears list can cause confusion for some. The MGA identifies outstanding taxes in two different ways: taxes that are unpaid and taxes that are in arrears. So unpaid taxes are taxes considered unpaid in the year that they are imposed. So that means in 2020, you get your tax bill. If you haven't paid that in 2020, those are unpaid taxes. Flip to January 1st, those same taxes and those amounts now become what they call tax arrears. So after going over the concepts here, so the tax recovery process. So I've kind of broken down the tax recovery process into four big steps here. Step number one is the identification process. So the overarching theme here is this process involves preparing an arrears list. Following this, the municipality issues tax recovery notification. And this provides property owners an opportunity to settle their outstanding tax arrears and avoid further steps in the tax recovery process. Step number two is the notification process. This includes warnings of sale to property owners with overdue taxes, and followed by offering the parcel for sale at public auction. Step three is the actual public auction itself. So the auction is conducted to sell properties with unpaid taxes or tax arrears, with the municipality holding the responsibility for managing the auction process. This includes overseeing the bidding, and ensuring compliance with established rules. And then following that is the post-auction process. So after the auction, municipalities have responsibilities that include finalizing the sale, transferring property ownership to successful bidders. And in some cases, if property remains unsold for 15 years, it may be transferred to the municipality. Special cases may also arise and necessitating unique handling depending on specific circumstances. And carrying on there, so I'm kind of just popping more in depth into each one of these processes that we've kind of gone over. So the identification process starts off with preparing an arrears list. And part of this, the tax recovery process begins with the preparation of a tax arrear list. Each year, a municipality must, not later than March 31st, prepare a list of all parcels of land in the municipality that are more than 1 year in arrears. Prior to developing the tax arrears list, the municipality can consider sending a letter to each affected property owner. Late January to mid-February is a recommended time for such letter. We generally advise the property it's going to have a tax notification placed on title, and that he or she can avoid this from occurring by paying anything that's outstanding currently before we go ahead with that process. Tax recovery notification. So that's really just on the administration side. We basically get a hold of Alberta Lands Titles with the information. We register a certificate, tax recovery notification, and put that on their title. And then step 3, so right to pay tax arrears. So after we've put a notification on somebody's property, anyone can come in and pay the arrears owing against the property. Paying off the tax arrears at this stage basically ends the process free and clear, and the whole thing's over at this point if that happens. If not, then we can move on to the notification process, which starts off with the warning of sale. So we notify the parcel owner, individuals with a registered caveat against the parcel, and each owner of an encumbrance listed on the certificate of title. Really, yeah, this is, just kind of outlining the steps that, people don't go into this without notification. When we're doing this, it's not only, if there's interested parties or whatever else was ever on that certificate of title, they all get notices before, the process goes further. Offer for a parcel for sale. So if taxes remain unpaid and no tax agreement on arrears is reached between the municipality and the landowner, the municipality is required to publicly auction any land on its tax arrears list. So again, when we do this, the town doesn't have a choice. We follow the regulations that are outlined in the MGA and continue on. So reserve bid and conditions of sale. The council must establish a reserve selling price before it can auction a property. So the reserve bid is set at a level that is as close as reasonably possible to the market value of the parcel. The municipality may acquire the services of an independent professional appraisal to provide it with a written report that establishes the market value for setting the reserve bid. In addition to the reserve bid, the council must establish any terms and conditions that apply to that sale. For example, the council may require full payments of the parcel by cash or certified check, or the council may allow partial payment on the day of the auction with full payments to be made within 30 or 16 days following the auction. So that's kind of your guys' involvement in that process. And generally what the town does, we rely on the assessed values a lot of the time when we deemed it that it's fairly close to what the market value is, depending on how many parcels of land we got, because in an appraised value on say 20 properties could be fairly expensive when the outcome generally is the same price that we're shooting for. Then we can move on to the advertisement of the public auction. So the municipality has to advertise the auction. The information in the advertisement must specify the date, the time, the location of the auction, and the description of each parcel of land to be offered for sale. The advertisement must also include any terms and conditions of the sale, cash only, percentage down, things of that nature. The advertisement must also state that the municipality may, after the public auction, become the owner of any parcel of land not sold at the auction. The property or properties being auctioned must be advertised in one issue of the Alberta Gazette. The auction date must be listed in the Gazette not less than 40 days and not more than 90 days before the auction. And so generally on that, when we can, we contact them and issue our notification in the Alberta Gazette, which I don't think a lot of people read anymore, but it's still part of the rules. And then we move on to the next, contacting the owner and interested parties before the auction. So a copy of the advertisement must be sent to all parties not less than 4 weeks before the date of the auction. And then adjournment of auction. So what this is really, we may adjourn a public auction to any date within 2 months of the advertised sale date. So even though we've posted the public auction, the municipality does have the ability to adjourn that auction within 2 months prior to advertise the adjournment. And so we've done that once or twice before when we were trying to align an auctioneer for one of ours and put a public notice at the front door. Moving on, then we can move on to the public auction itself. Holding the auction, the municipality must select a person to conduct the auction. While a professional auctioneer may be used, in most cases, the chief administrator officer or other designated officer will act as the auctioneer. And then municipal responsibilities for property sold at the public auction. Anyone purchasing a property at a public auction acquires the property free of all encumbrances aside from some certain exceptions that are listed in another section of the MGA. And moving on from there, the post auction. So the municipal responsibilities, rights following an auction. The municipality has 3 options when a property is not sold at a public auction. The 3 are a tax forfeiture, clear title, and do nothing. And just a little bit more detail on that. For the tax forfeiture, the municipality does not purchase the property, but registers its name on title if the property goes unsold at a public auction by registering a tax forfeiture instrument form. This allows the municipality to rent, license, lease, or dispose of a property at a price as close as reasonably possible to market value in an effort to recoup the arrears and taxes. If the property is not disposed of under this situation here, the municipality may, 15 years following the date of a public auction, request the register cancel the existing certificate of title marked tax forfeiture and issue a certificate of title in the name of the municipality. So basically, if we go through option 1, before the town can actually take over the property, we have to wait 15 years. Clear title. Clear title after the municipality has acquired tax forfeiture title, the municipality can acquire the property by depositing an amount equal to the reserve bid, aka market value, into a separate account. The amount paid goes to the tax arrears and all costs and expenses as required. The municipality must notify the previous owner if there's any money remaining. Then the property is to do with the municipality as they wish. So again, something about this, if the municipality took this route and let's say the taxes owing on the property were 15,000 and the market value on the property was 300,000, we would basically disperse the remaining funds that we have to pay back to the property owner. So in this case, $285,000 would go back to the property owner. We don't get to keep any of that. We get to collect what's owing to the municipality plus like a 5% administration fee, and the rest goes back to them. And then we keep the property. And then the last one's fairly self-explanatory, do nothing. Taxes continue to accrue and remain on the municipality's books as a growing liability. The municipality in this situation cannot dispose of the property or rent, license, or lease it. And this option also does not allow the property to revert to the municipality after the 15-year time period. Proceeds from the sale or rental of a tax recovery property, all sale, lease, license, or permit revenues must be paid into a separate account maintained by the municipality for the proceeds from Division 8 tax recovery properties. Again, transfer to the municipality after 15 years. We've talked about that. In certain cases, we'll get the property after 15 years. And then special cases that can arise under this. There's a little bit more than this, but the three main ones are tax arrears on subdivided land and what to do in that situation. Arrears on contaminated land and what the municipality has to do in that situation. And then alternative collections options, and there's a various amounts of that. So this right here in a nutshell is kind of how the tax process is guided and governed by the MGA and the steps that council and administration have to follow. Following this here, so I've just kind of basically laid out a guide here as, okay, we've learned how the tax recovery process works here on the overarching document. And then kind of how does that work and what does that look like within the town of Slave Lake? So on January 1st, or the next day that's not a holiday, in our case coming up in this year, it'll be January 2nd because January 1st falls on a holiday. A 10% penalty is applied on all outstanding taxes. So this is anything that's sitting on the account gets a 10% penalty. So 2020, 2021, 2022, whatever that balance is, 10% is applied. March, we send out our assessment notices. May, we send out our tax notices. And then we have July, August, October penalty dates. The July, August, and October penalties, those penalties at 2%, 6%, and 8% are only applied on the current year balance. So that means what in 2023, whatever your taxes are owing for 2023, you get a 2%, 6%, and 8% penalty in on those dates there. Not, if you owe from previous years, that penalty is not run on that. It's just on the current one. Going to the next one there, assessments and assessment complaints. I won't really go over that. The assessment process is there. This is just there for your own read. Tax notices. Sending tax notices. So tax notices must be sent before the end of the year in which taxes are imposed. And then a couple of situations here that we do run into. What do we do if the mailing address of a taxpayer is unknown? A copy of the tax notice must be sent to the mailing address of the taxable property or business. If we cannot determine the mailing address of the taxable property or business, the tax notice must be retained by the municipality and is deemed to have been sent to the taxpayer. The certification date of sending the tax notice. The certification of the date is evidence that the tax notices have been sent and that the taxes have been imposed. So basically, when we send out our tax notices, they have been deemed to be sent and received by everybody on the tax roll. And then just a little note here on the owner responsibility. Property owners bear the responsibility of maintaining current and accurate contact information, including their mailing address with the municipality. A lack of an updated mailing address does not exempt the property owner from the obligation to pay taxes by the specified due date. And then the last couple of slides there, we just kind of did like a numerical. Here's a scenario in which, somebody bought their house in January 2021, and then they failed to pay their property taxes and what that kind of would look like in the town of Slave Lake. This just kind of highlights, someone going from owing no taxes basically to the point in time where we can actually put their house up for sale. That bill can jump fairly quickly. So $0 to $12,000 in a little bit over 3 years here. So it's kind of the tax recovery process in a nutshell. If you got any questions. happy to entertain.
I feel like this is year 3 of tax recovery sale process presentation. I appreciate the slides though. Any questions from council?
No,
Councilor
I was
Hughes?
just gonna say thank you. I liked the presentation this year and how you kind of really went through even the comments, you know, they didn't pay again. Who saw this coming? But I appreciate the way you took us through it. So thank you for highlighting that again.
Absolutely. And I think a point on our part here too is we do work as best as possible with every person. I think the last thing that we want to see on our end is houses going to tax recovery process. You know, it's not something that we take light or look forward to. We do work as best as possible. There's multiple options that people can, you know, come and talk to administration before this, you know, and paying your bill, or come in and put somebody on a tax recovery contract, maybe assist them, because sometimes the bills are extremely large. I get it. We don't have $20,000 laying around. So we do work with people as best as possible, but sometimes you know, there's nothing else you can do, and this has to go forward.
Councilor Hughes?
Motion to accept this as information.
All right, any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor. Thank you, Roland. Very informative, greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Town of Slave Lake revised policies.
Okay, so keeping in theme with previous committee of the wholes, administration has continues to review existing internal administrative and external public facing policies. So before you tonight are I believe 4 policies from the planning department. All 4 would be considered front facing or public facing documents. You have the adjustment of development charges. For the most part, most of these are just cosmetic changes. There was nothing substantial that was changed to them. With the exception of the adjustment of development charges policy, updated the template and essentially updated the CPI value. So the CPI values is that index that we utilize to then in turn calculate our levies or outstanding levies, or the value of those levies, right? So it's an average that's calculated or refreshed every so often, and we utilize that to measure what the projected cost would be of construction of some of these municipal infrastructure and how that relates to your levies. Otherwise, that policy essentially is in essence the same as it was previously. The public hearing policy, the certificate of compliance, and the encroachment into public lands, all 3 again public planning policies, and essentially only cosmetic changes made to them. I am able to answer any questions potentially that you might have regarding these policies.
Councilor Hughes?
Just a question, I guess, process wise, almost overall, we have more policies coming back to council as we go, like you're going to continue to bring them at the committee of the whole meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happens is our senior leadership team is tasked on a department by department rotational basis on every week
Mhm.
to identify different policies for review. So sometimes they might be more administrative in nature. They might be internal, meaning those wouldn't typically come to council. Those would fall under the authorization and discretion of the CAO, but
Okay.
others that are public facing, we bring and we schedule for an upcoming committee of the whole sort of meeting and bring them as we get them or have enough to have a discussion on. So
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. So for, like, I understand, I think for the most part, the ones that we've done have been template changes. If you are making a big change though, will you be like highlighting it in red or doing something really visible for us? Because I have to say that would be very handy moving forward. And I just kind of wanted to verbalize that and maybe make a note, because I was all over the place back and forth looking for changes that aren't really.
So in the, and we are doing that in the summary report to council there, you'll see on page 2 of that document, it actually lists
Update template, updates.
the Reader's Digest version of what has changes were made or
Oh, I
lack
didn't
there.
see that. Okay, sorry, I didn't see the summary.
So if that potentially provides the,
So continue doing that is
Yes,
where that
please.
commentary would be.
Wait,
Uh,
where is it?
Right about.
page 2 of the
about
cover report
the
would have
recommendation.
Very top.
just above the word options.
49.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, geez, I kind of just dove right into the actual policies. So,
Fair enough.
all right, good to know. Well, please
Good
keep
reading.
us posted. Yeah.
I will.
A lot of reading today. Please, continue to do that or at least highlight it out. And now I will know where to look for future because that was definitely a lot. Now someone else could go.
It was mostly template updates, so I would entertain a motion at this time.
Do you want separate motions or one motion good?
I think one motion would work.
Okay, so I'll move to accept the adjustment of development charges, public hearing, certificate of compliance and encroachment onto public lands as presented.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor, and that is carried. Before we continue on into our committee minutes, can we have a 5-minute recess, please?
Excellent.
Do that.
Pause the camera. 5-minute recess.
Okay, we are going to move forward into our committee minutes. Counselor Adams isn't here, so we'll move past Slave Lake Watershed. We'll move into the Housing Authority meeting, which is myself. We reviewed the 2024 budget and approved that, and also had our organizational meeting at the same time. Brad Pearson was renominated as chair, and then I will be sitting as vice chair on that board. In addition to the proposed budget, we reviewed the statistics, and everything is holding fairly stable with approximately 45 on the wait list between both the seniors housing and the social housing. Tourism.
Okay, so tourism has recently heard back on 2 different grant submissions that we did a couple months ago here. So we have received $5,350 from the Northwestern Alberta Foundation, and that is just to be used for operational funds for our group. And we also have received our full ask for a new tourism strategic plan update from Travel Alberta. So we hope to be executing that for 2024. Our AGM is coming up. We had to postpone, so it will be held this coming Thursday, December 14th at 7 p.m. out at the Vic boardroom. We do have some empty board seats as well that we are looking to fill. Beach Fest planning is still well underway, but we'll be picking up more of the detailed planning and involvement here again in the new year. We're also currently advocating and working with the ANSA group to advocate to Travel Alberta with regards to some prominent website placement on their website. We're having a few challenges with them, working with them to get something simple as Devonshire Beach updated on the website is apparently a huge ask. So they have now come back and let us know that we need to fill out a very detailed asset management, like inventory of tourism operators. So our tourism admin and the ANSA admin are kind of trying to work hand in hand and collaboratively to basically start this detailed asset inventory of everything that exists kind of in the north central region as a whole. So
Right, 'cause
that's
we're
becoming a
Currently, we're combined under somewhere that's not geographically near us, correct?
That's correct, yes. So it is becoming a challenge. We are getting a little bit frustrated at the lack of support that we're receiving, unfortunately. So we will be keeping at it, but so far we haven't really been able to get anywhere with them quite yet, but stay tuned for more.
Okay. CEC. Is that also Steve?
Yes.
Yes, okay, airport.
So we haven't had a board meeting, but we've had a few meetings in regards to developing our master plan. We had an open house engagement session a couple weeks ago. About 20 people showed up, largely users of the airport. One reoccurring theme that we are hearing from users is that we don't have a lot of space left. And generally, tenants are happy with the level of service the airport offers. It will be interesting to see how the master plan addresses the lack of space issue. One comment that was nice to hear from the consultant who deals with airports all across Canada is that we are at a good starting point in terms of the state of repair and maintenance of our airport. That is the update there.
Fantastic. Okay. MPC.
Okay, we removed we approved a secondary suite in the northeast and a group home in the northwest. And in the MD on 3 separate lots, three different applications, one for CCANs, one for a mobile home, and one for a storage unit.
Okay. Next up is me, the Wildfire Legacy Corporation meeting. Yesterday we had a meeting. We didn't pass anything on that because we didn't have quorum at that meeting. However, we did review the proposed 2024 budget and discussed updated policies. Those will be circulated to the board and we'll make motions before the next meeting on that. And finally, waste.
So we had a meeting December 5th. The landfill did sign up for ERP, which is extended producer responsibility. For those of you who don't know what this is, in a nutshell, it is taking the costs of residential recyclables currently borne by landfills, municipalities, or end users, and placing it back on those who are responsible for producing the item. This won't actually be implemented until 2025, and as I have more information on it, I will provide updates. 2023 tonnage coming into the landfill remains fairly strong, and it looks like we are on pace to have a decent year. It would appear that the boom we are experiencing in the economy is even felt at the landfill. We also passed our 2024 budget. Requisitions from the town and the MD will stay the same. The town's portion being approximately 220,000. That being said, I do anticipate increases coming in the future between landfill cell closure costs, new cell construction costs, and equipment costs. We have approximately $3 million in expenses coming up in the next 5 to 8 years. My biggest worry would be that we don't properly plan for this, that the landfill will need to come to the respective municipalities with a very large ask. So that being said, administration is preparing options for us regarding where our reserve balances and requisitions need to be to properly fund these upcoming items. That is the update.
Counselor Hughes,
Motion to accept the committee of the whole updates as information.
any further discussion? Call to question those in favor, and that is carried. CIO update.
All right, so before you should have a copy in your packages of the CIO update, and as normal, I will just kind of hit a couple of the highlight points here for your information. In our corporate services communications department, we've seen increases in our Voyant subscription, Facebook followers, Facebook page reach, Facebook page visits, and website visits, all experiencing increases this last year or last month, sorry. Under economic development, our rural renewal stream program, a total of 29 employers, so it's an increase of 2 from the previous month, have participated in the program. So a total of 54 letters of endorsement, that's up 10 from the previous month, have been issued to candidates. Under our advertising program, additional advertising clients for the MRC Arena 1 and 2 and Charity Park for the upcoming seasons have been signed up. Community Futures upcoming Spark the North conference scheduled for October was postponed due to a lack of registration. So Community Futures and the town of Slave Lake will be looking to host a combined economic development event, a Spark the North and State of the Lake in 2024. Keynote speakers have been identified and a draft outline for the event has been created for the event targeting early May for a timeline. Business visitation program. So the package content is nearing completion and the package will be introduced at the Chamber of Commerce quarterly meeting in December for their initial feedback. Under information technology, our ERP software implementation, the finance module assessment is ongoing. Mobile devices contract with Bell has been renewed. Midle desktop phone replacement projects ongoing and at the procurement stage. An additional 2 cameras will be installed at the shelter, additional to the current system that they have there right now. In terms of IT support, they've had 71 tickets were created in the month of November, with 70 of them being closed or resolved. Our Department of Finance, 2024 business license renewals have been scheduled and will be sent out to current business owners in the week, actually in this week here, December 11th to 15th. The department is actively working on procedures to conclude the 2023 calendar year and initiate the year-end processes. Important due date communications. So the December utility bill and final day for tax payments, originally set for December 29th and December 31st respectively, will be extended until January 2nd, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. This extension is in consideration of the office closure during the last week of the year, coupled with the fact that January 1st is a holiday. So penalties will be applied after the revised due dates. Under our homeless shelter program, we've registered about 41 identified homeless community members since we started our operation. We've had about 18 females and 23 males in our enrollment system. We've been doing a daily intake every day with the average of 10 clients per day. We've had a total of 223 night intakes for the month and 102 sleep day intakes. Our staffing is currently full now for the shelter. Under our projects department, just a couple highlights. Our MRC roof repairs project is now fully complete. Our EV charger is getting more than estimated use every month since operational on July 6th, July 6th of this year. To date, 55 unique users have visited the charger. The graph shows, that's attached in your report, shows how the usage month over month has increased, or what it's looking at right now. Under our planning department, MPC has approved a potential location for a TELUS communications tower at the south end of the Northern Star Hotel site. The proponent may now proceed with public consultation process for that location. Under our fire department, calls to date for 2023 are 648 in comparison to 496 this time last year. or 462 for this time in 2021. There's a typo in the report that should say December. Some highlights for the fire service. Recruit training continues for 7 new regional recruits. The MD of opportunity training and testing weekends were completed. Mental health training was completed and an ICS 200 course hosted by the MD took place at Station 1 during this reporting period. Under our enforcement department, December's impaired driving month awareness. So peace officers will be in partnership with local law enforcement to set up random check stops at various times to combat impaired driving on our roads, as well as a candy cane check stop with various emergency service personnel planned for early December to remind drivers to drive sober during this holiday season. Community Services Department under Aquatics, Glow Swim was a success with 75 people attending. Swim with Santa is scheduled for December 17th. The hot tub main pipe broke in November and has been closed for a period of a few weeks while we await the replacement parts. Northern Lakes College has been very good at updating us and is actually tasked with that responsibility to maintain and repair that equipment. Lane ropes that were donated by West Fraser have arrived and have been installed. And the department has offered 3 PD swim days during this last month. Under FCSS, Family Fun Night was swimming in pizza called Swizza, and 91 people had attended. Family Fun Night in December will be Trolls 3 movie at the Rex Theater on December 12th. Art Attack was a youth event in November, canvas painting and friendship bracelets and dyeing, which about approximately 20 people attended. Go Girl has been a great program addition. It was a 4-week session promoting social skills, friendship activities for girls in grades 5 to 8, and 12 girls had attended that program. And FCS hosted a pancake breakfast event at the Pioneer Drop-In Center on December 2nd. Under Rec and Programming, Christmas break program schedule is being released this week. It will include information on pool drop-ins, field house and arena drop-ins, as well as ice rental opportunities over the Christmas break. The winter program guide will be released in early 2024 and is currently in development. MRC held 4 major tournaments over the past month and into early December. Tournament organizers for November 18th tournament shared with their traveling teams as well as the events surrounding the Moonlight Madness, and were encouraged to encourage visiting families to partake. So there was lots of positive feedback from the teams that attended. Legacy Center is very busy with bookings this month. We are booked with the majority of days this month. Bookings into 2024 are also strong, and they're anticipating a busy year ahead. Staff indicate that 2023 was the busiest year of bookings since we've been managing the venue or the location. That is my update, pending any questions you may have.
Very thorough. Happy for the update. Motion.
Motion to accept the CAO update as information.
Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor, and that is carried. Thanks, Jeff. Correspondence.
Next item on the list is the management task list.
Oh, whoops, sorry, I jumped ahead. Continue. Thank you.
Management task list. So you have an update there before you in regards to any motions made by council and their status. If there's any questions regarding any of those items, I'd be more than happy to engage. If not, I'd just be looking for a motion to accept.
Counselor Ferguson.
Motion to accept the management task list as information.
Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor, that is carried. Any question period? There were none on the previous 2. We're going to keep moving forward. Correspondence.
All right, so what you have before you is an email received by administration from Community Futures in regards to their beautification loan program. I'm not sure if council has had the opportunity to review the email and the attachments. Essentially, what's happened is this was a partnership with the town and Community Futures, and as such, there was a financial contribution or a financial portion that the town had. As you see in the email that was received from Community Futures, the program has had no interest in it to date. And because of the increase in interest rates, essentially, it's requiring that the town potentially to keep the same sort of level of support, the Community Futures is requesting administration and council to consider extending or increasing its contribution to this program. So it is brought back to you for discussion and or a motion if you feel applicable in regards to the program.
My thoughts are that we are in still the middle of budget discussions, and so I'd like to refer this to budget discussions for further deliberations. So I will make a motion to that effect to refer to budget discussions.
I'm happy to, I would agree with that. We'll be finishing that up early in the new year, so be happy to bring it back for our final budget meetings there. Any further discussion? All the questions in favor, and that is carried.
The last item for correspondence is just a copy of a letter received from the town of Hinton, addressed to Minister Lowen, CC to our municipality for our information.
This was just sent to us for information, correct?
Correct. Along with a number of other municipalities, I would say, in this corner of the northern Alberta.
Yeah. Councilor Bergson.
Motion to accept the correspondence from the town of Hinton as information.
Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor, and that is carried. Okay, State of the Lake. So a few items for State of the Lake. Some events coming up. We have the All Seasons Market at the MRC Fieldhouse. That is December 16th, this Saturday from 10 to 3 p.m. And that'll obviously be the last one of the season. Just wanted to give a congratulations out to the Roland Michener Secondary School Drama Program. It's very exciting. I believe they are, if they're not sold out for the Elf, the musical, Elf Junior, the musical tomorrow, they're very close to it. There will be no tickets available at the door. So congratulations to them and their theater program. Wanted also to highlight the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign. I'm pretty proud of our community and our town staff. They was raised over $10,000, half which is going to Hilda Even Park for the installation of trees, and half it goes to the Tim Hortons Foundation camps. Just for some side note, we were #1 in Alberta out of 393 Tim Hortons locations, and we were number 35 in Canada out of 3,579. So well done, Slave Lake. There will be another Smile Cookie event this spring with the fire department. So we look forward to that. Another heads up that the SLIP, or the Slave Lake Ice Patrol, is just requesting that on the outdoor rinks that we stay off the ice until a notice is made on the town page. With the warm weather, it's made that challenging, and they're hoping that if we can keep off the ice, that as soon as the weather does cooperate, those outdoor rinks will be up and running. And so just a thank you to them for all the hard work that they do. And just wanted to provide a brief update on the homeless shelter. So we're 1 month into operations. As Jeff had mentioned, the shelter opened on November 7th and runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we registered a total of 41 homeless community members, averaging approximately 10 clients a day. The shelter clients are served 3 meals a day. The town of Slave Lake has collaborated with the Sawridge Travel Center for a soup and bannock deal and is currently exploring other partnership opportunities with local restaurants and organizations for the supply of meals. The Slave Lake Native Friendship Center is currently providing access to their shower facilities for clients as the town works to install a shower facility inside the shelter. The town provides transportation for clients to utilize the shower facilities at the Friendship Center. So huge thank you to the Friendship Center for the use of those facilities while we get the shelter, which was done in fairly short order, while we get our own shower facilities up and running. The Slave Lake Native Friendship Center also has provided the homeless shelter with a variety of donations, and the town would like to sincerely thank them for their continued support. The shelter currently does not accept donations from the public, and we currently encourage all those wishing to donate that those items be donated to the Friendship Center during their normal operating hours. And that's it for me. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Motion
Councilor
to
Hughes.
adjourn.
Any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor, and that is carried.